Okay, welcome folks. Thank you all for coming here today. And today we're going to discuss basically what this is. And this and this are identically the same. I'm just going to give you a little recap of the work that we've been doing over the last number of years in regards to this. But basically, when I started work on this book cannot be done on basically reading this book, for a start. Because this book is too vast, it incorporates too many mindsets, and these mindsets have to be separated. They have to be distinguished. You have to understand what they are. So, let's look at this. There's 5 levels. It's Genesis, and the reason why this is called Genesis is because when God said, "Let there be light," there was light. But that light came from this part. Okay? That light came into the ego. Okay? That light was our perceived goodness. That light was the persona that we all carry. Our false self, our false image. Okay? But there's another light. And that light is in this. It's in this book. Okay? And this is the roadmap hole. If you choose to have it as the roadmap hole. You can use this book like the Bible. You can adore this book. You can embed yourself into so much specialness with this book. So let's look at the different mindsets in this book. Okay? The first mindset, and it's in this book, is basically the mind of God, heaven. Knowledge, as the course calls it, it's oneness, it's pure awareness, it's being. So it's all of these symbols, and all of these symbols fit into here. This is reality. Okay? And out of all of these levels, okay, this is the only level that's true. Okay? All of these other levels incorporate the dream, incorporate different mindsets. So let's look at level 4. Level 4 is the mindset of Christ. So what is Christ? Anybody? Peter?
Oh, it's God. Eternal.
Right, so you're talking this level.
It's Jesus Christ.
Right, okay, so you're talking this level. You're talking this level. Tell me what the Christ is at this level. Level 1. In our physical reality.
Well, I suppose the perception presently is that Jesus is the Christ. But that's my understanding is that the Christ is the Father. No?
No. Christ is the Son.
Right.
And of course it really tells us that. Okay? That Christ is the symbol of the entire sonship. Okay? So if I was to say to you now, this is the Christ, would that be true?
No.
Anybody else? Is this Christ?
Yes.
Christ is everything.
It's everything.
Yes. Everything in this physical universe, from the second of the Big Bang, is the entire sonship, is Christ.
Including inanimate objects.
Everything.
All right.
Because Jesus says, split a piece of wood, I am there. You see, Jesus was the symbol of Christ. He wasn't Christ in the man himself. Okay? I was listening to a video this week with Mooji, who's been interviewed by a Course in Miracles teacher, and he was asked what the Christ was. And basically he said it was presence. Okay? But again, Mooji gives every answer from here, here, and here upwards. Okay? Now, let me ask you this question. Has there ever been a single person who has ever sought for enlightenment found it?
Was ever what might
Seeked enlightenment, have they ever found it?
Buddha.
Apart from the Buddha. Since the Buddha. Has there ever been a seeker of enlightenment that has ever found it? No is the answer.
Not even you.
I never was looking for it. Believe you me, I wasn't looking for it.
My
I didn't
first
even know anything about it. Sorry?
Yes, sorry.
Jesus, where are you talking since the Buddha, so is Jesus in there?
Well, Jesus wasn't really seeking enlightenment.
Yeah, I wondered if that was the case.
Do you know?
It was
Jesus'
enlightenment.
story was a different story. Jesus was coming to tell us the truth, to embed a truth into the world, but that truth was not going to be understood for 2,000 years later. And the truth that he came with 2,000 years is now. This is why the parables of Jesus, the truths that he taught 2,000 years ago, was the precursor to the Course in Miracles. It was to ground the Course into philosophies, into a reality in this world. Okay, that book wouldn't have had the same impact if it hadn't been for Jesus' life story. And
So
everything
was
that
the
he-
world not ready? Was
No.
the course too radical for 2,000 years ago?
Well, even 100 years ago, 50 years ago, the world wasn't ready because the world had to wait for Freud and Jung to come along to give us basically what the ego was, to give us an understanding of the ego. So even the form of the course that's written on is psychology, and everything that in the videos that I've covered on Freud in my book also is all in the course. It's all here. You know, Freud and Jung is basically all over this book everywhere. So I think it's on my website. I said there wouldn't have been a Course in Miracles, and what I meant was there wouldn't have been a Course in Miracles in the form of it was in psychology if it wasn't for the understanding of Freud and Jung. But let's keep going here, all right? Because what I want to just give you a brief overview of this, and then I want to open your eyes to something that's really, really going on in this world, and people need to become aware of it. So let me go through
Michael,
these different mindsets
Sorry,
first.
can I just ask you something?
Yeah.
How, your question about how has anybody who seeks enlightenment found it?
Yeah,
And the answer is no.
yeah.
Why is that?
Because we're going to do that after.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just threw that in there.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have threw it in there. I should have stayed on topic, but it was Cora's fault. Yeah. So basically, again, what we're discussing. So here, Christ. Okay. So it's very important for you to understand what Christ is. Christ is everybody and everything around you. The rapist, the pedophile, the murderer is Christ. It's as simple as that.
It's on
And
level
if-
4, isn't it?
Sorry?
Is that on level 4?
Yes. This is the symbol. In the course, this would call on the way home, this would be the real world.
So it's actually in form at that stage.
No, this is not far.
Would
Okay.
David Hoffmeister be on 4?
Sorry?
David Hoffmeister, would he be 4?
Well, again, I wouldn't like to comment on that at this time. Okay? Because I don't like to comment on other teachers unless it can be helpful in basically, showing people the right path. Okay?
Would he come across it in the past?
But the last person who was on fourth was Jesus.
Right.
And there's nobody on this planet on that level. I can guarantee you that. Okay? There's a few people on this level, at this level. Okay? And we'll talk about them in a moment. But at this level here, it's important to understand what Christ is. Okay? And you're not really going to experience this until you reach that level going back home. Because we're all starting off here at 1, we're going to 2, we're going to 3, we're going to 4. So you might remember a parable that Jesus says. He says, no one comes to the Father except through me. Here's what he's talking about. Okay? We all must join in oneness. This is the real world, as the Course calls it, at this point. Because when your awareness hits this point, it will only be literally less than a planck second. And at that point, Jesus says you will look back on a forgiven world. Do you know what that means, a forgiven world?
There's time to work with people through the whole process of
Yeah.
rediscovery, is it?
But that statement, a forgiven world, it's important you understand what that means.
Sorry.
Is it love?
When there's
You've
no more
forgiven,
judgment.
you've forgiven the world. You said the world isn't real.
Right, but what does the statement mean? A forgiven world. It's a big,
You have healed.
which means,
You have healed.
in a practical sense here.
It's a non-judgment world.
No.
Without judgment.
What's forgiveness?
No.
Well,
No.
The acknowledgement that nothing really happened.
It's a correction.
Yes. But what else is it? You see, let me just talk about forgiveness at the moment. The world's forgiveness at this level was persona always forgiven the shadow. Healing at this level was always the persona trying to heal the shadow. Okay, we could put our parents into the shadow. Okay, so now I'm trying to heal this relationship with my parents. So you have to ask, who is trying to heal what with who? So you have the persona healing here, and again, that's what forgiveness is in this level. But what is the fundamental truth of forgiveness? What is it?
Doing separation.
Which means it's detachment. You look back on a detached world. It's gone. Okay? That's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is a tool that detaches us from the trouble or from the thoughts we're attached to or from the relationships that we're attached to. Forgiveness is not healing.
It's forgiveness of the separateness.
Forgiveness is responsibility. Okay? When you are taking responsibility, okay, that's forgiveness. When you're not taking responsibility, that's not forgiveness. So, at this level, there's the crash. So let me talk a little about this mindset here, okay? Because these are now the three main mindsets that I would like to focus on. Now, what happens at this level, this is the awakening. It's self-realization what happens here. Okay? It's when you fully look out onto the world now and you see that the false self that you were in the body was never you. Okay? At this level, there is complete non-attachment to anything or anybody. Now, when I'm going through this, I want you just to think about this. Are you ready for this mindset right now? Okay? Because this is not something, that you can negotiate with. It's not something you can barter with. You're either ready for this or not. When you're ready for this, you wake up. It's that simple. There's not something you have to atone for. There's not something there that you have to basically let go of as in, a great crime did to God. There's a story in your head that you have to let go of. That's it. But in this mindset, when you're ready for it, you will have it. So, Eckhart Tolle calls this mindset the observer.
Cause of what?
The observer.
Oh yeah.
Okay? And Peter, do you know what the observer is?
My understanding would be that it's your how to put this? It's just a stage before the higher self watching itself, watching
No.
awareness, about awareness being aware of itself.
The observer is the higher self. And one of the fundamental characteristics of the observer is this. The observer never chooses between right and wrong or good and bad. Ever. Because the observer is without judgment. Now, what is love? What does the Dalai Lama say that love is? Love is the absence of judgment. Jesus makes the exact same reference here in this book. Love. Okay, it's the absence of judgment. So, out of these three levels, you could say, where does love begin? Where is there love? Don't be shy.
The Holy Spirit.
But there's no beginning and no end, is there?
Where will you experience love out of those three levels?
With the womb.
All three.
Here. Because love is without judgment. So if you want to experience love, true love, it must be unconditional, it must be without attachment, it must be without judgment. So is there love on this level?
No.
Not while the ego's still there.
You will love the person to death if you get your needs met, if you get all your expectations fulfilled, all your desires, all your wants. then that's what love is at this level. Is that love?
No.
So basically it's, you will experience great love the more special you make the other person. That's love at this level. Buy them the biggest diamond ring, the biggest house, car, spas, everything else, and they'll love you even more. Isn't this true? So if you really want to experience what love is, love begins at this level. You will experience a love so deep, so profound, that you will laugh at everything else that you thought was true love, or you thought that was real love. And you'll not laugh at it in a way, you'll laugh at it that you'll know that you've always had this inside you. So what else is in this mindset? Okay? There's peace, there's joy, and there's love. And when you add those three up together, you have bliss. You have complete awareness. That means there's not a thing that happens in your environment, in your body, in other bodies around you that you're not aware of. You're completely awake to everything. It's complete self-realization. And in here, if you look at the characteristics of the advanced teacher of God in the Course Peter, you will see them. And in here, you have complete trust, complete tolerance, complete honesty, complete gentleness, complete open-mindedness. All of those characteristics that you read in the advanced teacher of God are here. So you can see now, the reason why this book is so complicated and so confusing for so many people is this, is because Jesus is talking about these 5 levels in every chapter. When he's talking about the you in the chapter, it could be talking about you in the body. It could be talking about you in the persona, you in the shadow. It could be talking you in your true light mind, you in your advanced teacher of God, you as Christ, and you at one with the Father. Isn't that true? So, one of the greatest questions asked in the Course, who is the you that Jesus is talking to? Well, without this, it would really be very difficult for you to know what he's talking about. Also in this, Jesus talks over and over again about level confusion. Okay? Because we have teachers teaching here, 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 and here. That's no good to anybody. Okay? So this is the mindset that everybody's going. This is the bliss. This is the now. This is what I think is 12 million people who have bought this book. All right? And not one person has made it from there, to the now. Not a single person. And there's a good reason why. It can't be done. But there is a way of doing this, but not. The other thing, when I've done the last workshop I did was on this book. There's no level 2 in this book. I was mentioning earlier on about Mooji and the interview about Mooji, and I listened to about 80% of that interview, and he was asked several questions. And to be fair to Mooji, okay, he did say he didn't consciously read this book, but he quotes this book. He flicks through it. He quotes it.
Quotes just.
Quotes.
Quotes.
Oh, quotes it, sorry.
So what he does, he
It's
quotes
not my
it.
fault if you have a funny accent.
So, and it's a great pity this that Mooji didn't read this book.
He doesn't read many books.
Yes, and it's a great pity. Because the man who read this book is reading this book. But I want to just tell you something now, both about Eckhart Tolle and Mooji, right? And don't take this, and people are going to jump, oh, I'm basically having a go with these two people, right? I love the both of them to death. I think this book is a book that's way before its time. It's an amazing book, beautiful book. And I'm in the process of decoding this book, okay? But there's one very clear problem with Eckhart and Mooji. Anybody know what it is?
There's not being able to put your finger on it, but I'm listening to
You have
different things.
to,
Right,
you
here,
have to look at all your false beliefs. You can't jump from.
no, it's more simpler than that. You see, I went through, there was Byron Katie, there was myself, there was Eckhart Tolle, and there was Anita Mariana. There's 4 I know in the world at the moment. When we went through the dark night of the soul, through the pain body, as Eckhart calls here. All right? And we went through the vortex and we woke up here. Okay? So when Eckhart woke up, all right, when I woke up, and it's very clear in Mooji's teachings also, and in other people's teachings. Here, there's 2 states of mind. There's being, and there's doing. All right? But to do things in the world, you need this state of mind. Yeah? He's with me?
The dualistic mind.
Right? So, here's the key. Eckhart Tolle and Mooji, just to give you those 2, can be all the one. But they can't do anything.
What do you
do
mean by
nothing.
that?
They can't
Process.
do anything.
But
Like in the book,
function
to
in
give you an
world
example, the way
and
Eckhart
do
taught,
things.
Eckart's answered the book when he was asked about how do you operate in the world if you don't think. So here is the attached to the thinking mind, and Eckhart in the book is saying as long as you're identified with this mind, then you're not going to basically be in bliss. So here, there's no thinking. So what Eckhart was saying, you go from thinking to no thinking. Can't be done. Because in this book, what Jesus does, you go, this is wrong-minded thinking at level 1. So you go from wrong-minded thinking to right-minded thinking to no thinking. Okay? Now, Eckhart Tolle and Mooji can't do anything in the world because if they did, they would be teaching it. In other words, what I'm saying here is they don't know how the ego works.
So if they were at the level you're saying, they wouldn't be able to function.
They can't
In this
function.
world.
They can't function in the world. You take Mooji, put him in a job. If he had to work, do this, do this, do this. He can't do it because it won't do it. It won't. You know, it's kind of like, would you rather be or do? Now, I would take being every day of the week. But my job here, or my purpose here, once I woke up, was to basically, I was guided to the course, and I was guided to basically build this here structure. To show people the simplicity of the course, to show all the level of confusion that was in the course, to show the pitfalls, what you need to do to avoid what everybody else has fallen into.
Can I just ask you, Michael, how come so many people know about him then? And how come Eckhart Tolle has the book out?
Because, you see, what Eckhart Tolle is, right, is an inspiration. He's proof that the mindset that he is able to go around and show the world is there for everyone. So, we need people like that to inspire us.
Stepping stone.
Yes. So, again, Eckhart is no good to the world apart from that. Now, you take Byron Katie, for example, right? Byron Katie woke up at this level, but now Byron Katie teaches this level. She's the
Yeah.
only one out of those who has been teaching this level. Because the distance is too great for you to go to here, you need to go here. It's as simple as that. Because as long as you continue to try to hit 3 without going through 2, you ain't going to make it. It's that simple.
And the point, Michael, I mean, I know we're playing catch up so therefore we need people who will do. Is that the point of it?
Well, the point of this is, let me put it to you this way. Jesus says in the Course there's been no mass awakening at this point. Okay? You know why now? Imagine if everybody if there was a mass awakening, everybody woke up into the state of being.
It says have, be, have, do, be.
Who would do anything in the world then?
Right.
What about all the people who need, you look at a strike, for example. Look at the banks if they went on strike for a day or 2 days. What would happen? Everything was into chaos.
I'd be laughing my head.
Exactly. But the point, that's what I'm saying to you is, I'm not criticizing Eckhart Tolle or Mooji or anybody else, but I have to call this the way it is.
But I thought our whole purpose is to get back to God and to wake up.
Yeah, but you see, also, right, you have to look at this. There's 8 billion people in the world at the moment. Okay? So there has to be a mass awakening at some point, yeah? Yeah? So if that mass awakening went straight into being rather than doing, what would happen? I can guarantee you this, I have it in good authority. There's no more awakenings at this point in any more scripts. Everybody is going to wake up from now on, is going through these levels. Okay? Everybody who woke up to this point from history has woke up through the dark night of the soul. When Jesus said 2,000 years ago, he says, you can blaspheme the Father and you will be forgiven. You can blaspheme the Son and you will be forgiven. But if you blaspheme the Holy Spirit, you will never be forgiven. So to blaspheme the Holy Spirit is to say, fuck level 2, I don't need it. I'm going to go to level 3. So, what does that mean? You ain't going to make it. The Holy Spirit has been the missing link in spirituality because it's a mindset. And I'm going to show you that mindset today and how you can go home and start using it straight away. How does that sound?
So the only way to 3 is through the dark night of the soul.
No. Oh, aye. But that's gone. Unless it's in your script that you basically are going to write that, that's how I'm going to waken up. But no. There's no more go through that. Most people who've written that script have never made it because it's the most horrible script you could ever write for yourself. Think of the worst nightmare you ever had and then multiply it by about 1,000 times. And you're not even close at that time. So, we've covered this mindset, okay? And this is really, again, just to sum that mindset up, this is the characteristics of the teacher of God. This is the advanced teacher of God, sorry. It is the bliss, it's the now, it's self-realization, it's all of those. Okay. So, how are we fixed for time?
It's just 10:23.
Right, it's every time.
Murderers in town.
Yeah. So, right. This is the mind now that I want to talk about here. Because this is very, very important. Because I'm going to finish off then by talking about this mindset. Okay? So, here is the persona and the shadow. Okay? Here's how it works. You're the body. Okay? So, the body is attached to the world. Yeah? The world is attached to the body. Okay? The body then is attached to this mind. Okay? And this is, the course calls it the ego split mind. So this is all our good thoughts, all our bad thoughts. Everything that's right goes in here, everything that's wrong goes in here. This is the original tree of right and wrong and good and evil out of the Garden of Eden. Okay? So, before you're born, you come from this part. You come from the spiritual universe. The spiritual universe is on level 2. So you come down here and you're dropped into a body. And you're attached immediately to this mind. So before right. Right. So the ego works on 2 levels also. All right, there's level 1, there's level 1 and level 2. Okay, so you have the 3 primary thoughts up here of the ego, which is sin, guilt, and fear. Okay, now that ego, the ego splits further then. And what happens is it splits into the ego right mind, the ego wrong mind, the persona, the shadow. All our good thoughts, all our bad thoughts. Okay? So the victim, you'll learn about the victim. Where does the victim go?
Shadow.
Okay. So the victim goes where? I hope you didn't
No,
say the shadow.
no, persona.
After all the years you've been listening to me do.
I'm sick listening to you.
All right, so here I want to give you the overview of what the ego's plan in all of this is. All right, the ego's objective here is for us to choose it. Okay, but it's so bad in itself that the moment we would choose it, all right, it would hurt us. We would get out of jail again. All right, we would say, I ain't going there. So the ego devises a cunning plan. Okay? This is the entirety of the ego. Now it splits into two. Okay? So these two here are a total war with themselves. You might have read that in the course where Jesus talks about the mind that is at war with itself. So before you're born, all right, you come into this mind and it's already at war with itself. Because the persona is trying now to get rid of everything that's bad about itself, i.e. all the guilt. Yeah? So the guilt goes here, but that means the fear goes here. So if you're experiencing a lot of fear, it's always because you're in your persona. So what I want to do now is, you're born, you come in here, you come in a personality. This is you. And the moment that you come into the body, you go directly into the persona. Why?
You don't like your personality.
Hmm?
You don't like your personality.
You're not even aware of your personality the moment you're born. What happens is you come into a world of choice instantaneously. You see, when you're in the womb, you're in the now, you're in the bliss, you're in level 3. And the baby's inside. But when the baby comes out, it comes into level 1 awareness, and now there's choice. That means lights, bright lights come on straight away. There's no bright lights inside. So these bright lights now become a discomfort. So the child will automatically do what with the lights? Put them in the bedroom. Okay? And then it'll do that with food, it'll do that with everything over the next couple of years. So what happens as children, we start developing these two parts of ourselves here. Okay, we start using the persona more and more and more. Isn't this true?
Yep.
Okay, so what I want to show you now, and this is quite amazing, all right? There's 9 compartments here, and there's 9 compartments here. And these 9 compartments make these 9 compartments. So is anybody here aware of the Enneagram?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
You're smiling?
Yes,
Yeah. The Enneagram, everybody thinks it's about the personalities, yeah?
personality types.
It's not. It's not about the personality. It's about the persona. Okay? So what I want to show you now is the part of you that's sitting here, and then how much of you is sitting here with your persona. You'll see it for yourself. So the first thing in this compartment is the thinker. All right, do you think?
Yes.
Never
I
stop.
think, therefore I am.
All right, so you could say then, right, here's the personality, here's the thinker. So what's the opposite of the thinker? What's the effect of that? When you go into the pain body, when that red mist falls over you, all right, when that anger comes up, what happens automatically?
Depression.
Pain, suffering.
You ever hear that
None.
person say, I wasn't thinking, or that person did that, or that person wasn't thinking? Okay, so Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body here, and when it sucks you in, that pain body, when that anger rises, you're powerless over it, completely powerless. The hit now is in charge, and the way it is in charge is it wipes out the thinker. It cuts off that thinking part to yourself, where now rationalizations or any rationality goes out the window completely.
That explains the irrational mind.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to tell you another startling fact here now, right? What percentage of the personality is this compared to the persona? So what part of you is your personality? What percentage, roughly?
Are you talking about the inclusion of the shadow in the persona?
Yes.
What percentage of me is
Probably
my
80%
personality? It's a
thinking.
whole lot.
100%. Check it out.
10%. So what this means is every thought that you're thinking, 1 out of 10 thoughts is coming from your personality. Only 10% of your thinking is coming from anything that could be outside of the ego thought system.
So, hang on. What I asked you there was if you're talking about the personality including the shadow in the persona.
Right. Here you are in a body. Okay?
Well, that's right.
And again, I'm going to answer you now.
Oh, sorry.
Right?
My apologies.
Here you have good thoughts. Here you have bad thoughts. Here you are in the body. Okay? Where's your thoughts? So people come to me and I think you're wrong. I think you're right. What's wrong with those statements? Well, of course it's judgments, but where is your thinking? Because these is the right-minded of the ego, and this is the wrong-minded of the ego. So where's your thinking?
You're,
It's all of them.
It's not you thinking these thoughts. That's the clearest thing that you have to really
Oh, you mean
establish.
outside of the ego? Yeah, no, the ego's doing most of it.
There is no outside of the ego at this level. Where is there outside of the ego?
So
There
all
is-
of the thinking is done with the ego.
Yeah, apart from.
so is the personality closer to who you truly are?
Well, your higher self chose the personality for this dream.
The personality is a part of the ego, but basically what are you calling the personality, for want of a better word, the intelligent part of the ego?
No, you here have chosen from the spiritual universe to come in and experience life of separation, yeah?
Yes.
To do that, your soul, we'll call it, your soul, your spirit, needs a personality to experience that. So your higher self chose a personality here for you to come in to be dropped down into the middle of the ego. But the problem is this, the moment you're dropped down into the middle of the ego, now you adapt persona straight away. Okay? So that means 90% of your thinking from now on is with the ego, and it could be 99% of your thinking with the ego. So, the way that you're going to figure this out, okay, is first of all, you have to become aware of this.
So the bit in the middle, the 10%, you're calling that the personality.
The next one is the decision maker.
All of it.
For every decision that you're making, 9 out of 10 times you're making it with the ego.
That makes sense, or no sense.
Because that's what we are, that's what we're used to.
It's the persona.
That's
It's
the
this
program.
false image that Eckhart Tolle calls here in the Power of Now. And this, people won't like to hear this. People won't accept this at all because they believe, no, these are my thoughts, this is my thinking, this is my reputation, my accomplishments, this is my intellect. Okay, but remember, the thinker is the intellect. There's only 2 thought systems, and none of them belong to you. There's the ego thought system, and there's the Holy Spirit, level 2. Level 1, level 2.
When we talk about, in the old, I think it's a Karen-Wapnick diagram, the ego and the Holy Spirit, or the 2 worlds, we have the decision maker in the middle. Is that the same decision maker that you're talking about there?
Yes, but the point I'm making to you is you're only the decision maker 1 out of every 10 times. So the decisions that you're making them based on your persona. So what I want you to see very clearly here is the extent of the you that's sitting in this room, how much is the persona and how much is the shadow. Okay?
So what's the number 2 there? The
Decision
first one?
maker.
The
The both-
decision maker.
yeah.
All right.
So here the decision maker is the persona, and all the decisions of the persona will be based on self-interest. It'll be what's good for me,
Ego.
what's good for my family. I have to look after me. Selfishness. Okay? Now, the decisions based on the shadow is the moment you enter into the being body and it overpowers you, it makes all decisions on your behalf. It really is the decision maker at that point. Okay? So this is why people commit suicide. This is why people do what they do. And in Ireland at the moment, there's a plague in Ireland at the moment, and it's been kept under, basically brushed under the carpets by the authorities. It's suicide. What this country needs is people to have right-minded thinking. When you have right-minded thinking, everything else will have an effect from that. But we'll get to that. Okay? So again, that's the decision maker. Right? So here's the biggest one of all. And it's called the seeker. And that means everybody who's seeking for enlightenment. And then anybody who's listened to Ken Wapnick a lot will hear this. Seek. The ego seeks but never finds. So everybody who's been seeking for enlightenment, they may find the truth, but because it's the persona, they will go by. It'll pass them by. Because the seeker here with the persona is like a dog after a bone. Throw the bone, yeah, it'll just keep going. And see another bone, it'll go after that. See another bone, go after that. So what people do in spirituality, they'll go into one, oh, I don't like that. Go to another one, don't like that. Go to another one. And they spend their lives just going after one after the other, just like a dog after the bone. And what's really happening here, this is the persona. And there's a good reason why all of this is happening. When Jesus talks in the Course about the ego is very cunning and devious, what's he talking about?
The ego.
The persona. When he's talking about the ego can be downright vicious, what's he talking about? Yeah. You see, everything that Jesus talks about in the Course goes into Genesis. There's not one word in that Course that doesn't go into one of those 5 levels. Okay? Everything is in there. So that means the seeker who is seeking, let's say you're not seeking enlightenment, you're seeking to wake up. What about people who are seeking love? Do they ever find it? No. 1 out of 10 might be lucky to find this love that they think is love, but then they discover that it's not love. So they keep going seeking again. So the seeker is the ego. It's the persona. This is why no seeker of enlightenment has ever found it, because the ego cannot be enlightenment. It's like the ego is a symbol of darkness. How can darkness be light? When there's light, there's no darkness. It's as simple as that. And this is why people who go from level 1 up to level 3 are taking the darkness and they reach so much fear, so much resistance, is because they're trying to take their persona with them. And the ego can't go near light, too much fear. So
Michael, when the Bible says, seek and you shall find, what is this seeking? What's it on about there?
yeah.
Is it level 2?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's what I'm going to do after this. Like, I'm going to show you where the seeker now. I've been doing the online classes with a number of people for the last number of years. And I have successfully brought every student that I have worked with to level 2. It's simple. This really works. And I take them through the level 1 classes. We navigate through the persona. We start letting the persona down. The shadow comes into awareness. You let the shadow go. And now there's a new mindset for them to adapt to. But I'll do that at the very end. Okay? So again, what's the opposite of the seeker?
The non-seeker, if you like.
Finder.
You see, you remember the persona and the shadow is a bar. Everything that the persona sets out to do, the shadow wants to destroy it. Because the persona is trying to destroy the shadow by annihilating it, by projecting it onto other people, by rejecting it, by seeing it as bad, by seeing it as guilty. So now, basically what you have here is the destroyer. And this is people who will basically go out to destroy what other people create. And we do this to ourselves. Okay? And we destroy other people's reputations. Might see someone, oh, that person's too good to be true. Okay, now the shadow will come in and basically try to project something onto that person. That's the destroyer. We're destroying people's reputations by destroying our own.
So the media do that all the time.
All the time. But again, you can see in all of this, like, one is cause and effect. You see, as long as people only can deal with the shadow, the persona is creating the shadow. It's the persona that's the real cause of the hell that people are in, not the shadow. So the next one is the doer. So that means everything that you do, okay, you're doing it with the ego, 90% of the time. And what does it also mean? It means you're doing it in judgment. You're doing it with judgment, 90% of the time. The doer is also the achiever. You know, that sense of achievement. Oh, I've done well. Give yourself a pat in the back. You're a winner. Problem with being a winner is you're a loser. And every time that you win, you really lose. And level 3, you'll realize there is no winners and losers. Okay, but down here, it's all about the doers, the sense of achievement. The doer is also about the reputation. And Rumi said about the reputation, destroy it. Because the reputation is all about the false image, it's all about the ego, the persona image. Okay, so you have the doer, and then, this is very common with a lot of people that I work with. What do you think is the opposite of the doer?
Sabotage.
No.
Procrastinate.
Yeah. Can everybody identify with that?
Perfect doer.
You see, you have to realize this too, right? Let me tell you a little trick the ego uses here, right? Because it's all about cultivation of your energy the ego's after. So here's what's happening. So far, look at all of this. This is all what Eckhart Tolle sometimes calls you're feeding the ego. So the ego wants to be fed. Remember at this level, there's no way that we would feed it. But down here, we're unconscious, and we believe this is the right thing to do. Okay, we've been educated. This is the way to think. This is the way to make decisions. Okay, we've been educated. What do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to be famous? Do you want to be this? Do you want to be that? So we're conditioned to basically be someone that we're not, straight away. But all of these feed this. Everybody energy you give here, you basically give the same here. Because that's where it goes. This ego here needs fed. And the way it feeds you is through its cunningness and its deviance. So here, let's say, and you might relate to this, you have a little voice that tells you, do this. And then later on you have a little voice, well, you shouldn't really do that. All right. The moment you hear the second voice, you've been set up. Because now it doesn't matter whether you fucking do it or don't do it. Because let's say you do it and you shouldn't have done it, the voice that's told you not to do it is going to annihilate you. Maybe you do it, or you don't do it, and you should have done it. Yep. You see, you can't win.
This is like a spiral of depression. It's exactly what people say as you're describing what someone who's depressed actually.
Well, the Great Depression is, Eileen, that this will leave you bloody depressed. Because there's no way you can win in this setup. It's like a casino. Okay? The moment you come into this mindset, you lose. That's it. And people try to outthink the ego, all they're doing is giving it more and more energy. So you can see in these 4 how much energy we feed the ego, just with those 4. There's more to come. Okay. Then we have basically now the planner. I heard a number of times on this, you know, someone says, when man plans, God laughs. Something like that, wasn't it? So everything that you plan to do now, your planning's all about the future. And this mind is all about the future. See, there's the mind, and there's the mind of the past. All right, future, past. Peter, what's wrong with that?
So
There's no present in it.
Exactly. It was made with no present.
Because if you're going to make God laugh, tell me your plans.
Yes. So you can see that this mindset was made to keep God out. That's what Ken Wapnick used to refer to. This world was made to keep God out. It's not the world was made to keep God out. It's only the mind of the ego was made. There's no present. This is why people can't do the power of now. Because they're on level 1, okay, and they're trying to find the present in here. It ain't there. Okay, so here's the planner. So everything that you plan, all right, 90% of the time you're planning with the ego. So, what do you think comes in then for the planner? What's the shadow's answer? The sabotage. You ever hear tell of self-sabotage? No, you can't. So part of you is planning to do something, and the other part of you is basically now going to set out to destroy that. Why? What's the motivation?
Fear of success.
No, it needs fed. Forget about you in this. You see, this is primarily set up. The ego gives you a little bit. Enough for you to kind of keep your sanity for as long as you can. But 90% of all the energy that's inside you goes straight to the ego, which goes straight to the shadow. You're self-creating your own hell that's about to come. Now, the other fact in this, and I've said this a number of times, people who spend all their lives in persona, at the end of their lives, they're engulfed by the shadow. Because you can't use the persona without paying the price of the shadow. Every time you use the persona, you're going to pay a price for it. And the price is always the shadow. And this is the war that's going on, and you're stuck in the middle of it. Okay? And it doesn't matter what you think. You're going to have doubts over what you think every time at this level. There's no surety at this level. Why? Because you're listening to these two voices, which is really the same voice. And this is what drives people insane. But there is an answer for this. Okay? So let's do another couple. The most favored of all of the ego. All right? Anybody an idea? Just loves playing the victim. And the problem with that then is once you play the victim, you can't be the victim without having a victimizer. So the victim is always a choice. It's cause and effect in reverse. Okay, you can't use the persona. You can't use the thinker, the decision maker, the seeker, the doer, the planner, and not be a victim of the persona at the same time. So what happens is people come out and they'll attack you. And you go, I didn't do anything. I'm an innocent victim here. That person just attacked me. But you've created it. You created it because you're playing ball here. When you accept any part of this, you take all of it. It's as simple as that. And you could be a victim of a burglary. You could be a victim of a road rage. You could be a victim. Basically, it's countless. You'll find something to be a victim of. If you're planning and doing and seeking with the persona, you can be damn sure that you will find and plan and seek for something to be a victim of. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
It's not nice, is it?
No.
You know, to hear this.
I'm thinking of the hundreds of therapists around the world who keep people locked in the persona by
It's not over yet.
including myself.
Yeah. So, let's move to The second favourite of the ego. No, I would say this is the favourite of the ego because it's the most profitable. The rationalizer. Do you know how rationalization works, Peter? Or what a rationalization is?
Well, my understanding is that I'm in my right mind.
A rationalization is an external excuse for an internal problem. But it doesn't stop there. It also works this way. When you rationalize something negative, you keep it. When you rationalize a positive, you lose it. Don't you look at me with those mystery eyes. You have heard me say that
Yes, I
many
know what
times.
that means.
So I'll give you an example. All right, I'm in pain. Our first instinct is to blame someone. Okay? Could be the body. The body is also outside you. So we blame the body a lot. We judge the body a lot. Every time you blame the body for being sore, the body's this, the body's sick, the body's that, that's a rationalization. What you're doing is you're ensuring that whatever it is that you're rationalizing, you're going to keep it. Everything you can't rationalize negative, you keep. When you associate any pain with anything external, you're making the world real, and you're making pain real, and you're asking for it, because that's what you're creating in your mind. Let's say you make now, let's say rationalization in the positive. You meet someone and you fall in love, and your heart's pounding. And you will rationalize that feeling, that emotion by saying, this is an amazing person, I've just fallen in love with this person. Now you're rationalizing. You're losing that love that you have inside that this person has opened up. And now you're just giving it to the ego. What happens when that person leaves then? Where does the love go? It's gone. And you go into this dark, despair, shadowy place of loneliness, isolation all over again. See, the love that was inside you that you felt at that time is always in there. On level 3, you'll just like that. Anytime you want. And it'll only be around about 1,000,000 times more intense than that. All right. But the good news is, like, you can adapt it. You can drink from that well how much that you want. You know. But at this level, level 1, everything that you rationalize, you're pulling into the ego and you're filling it up with your energy. That's what it's really about. Remember, the persona is all this. Anybody here ever heard tell of the honey trap? Joe, you ever heard tell of a honey trap? We ever set up for a honey trap? Do you know, a beautiful woman comes in, like, you know.
I know what you mean, yes, hardly, yeah.
And basically, maybe the wife wanted to test you. To
Jerry
see
Seinfeld, there was an episode on that one.
Was there?
He ended up being handcuffed to the bed, but he took as well.
Well, this is the original honey trap
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
This is where we're getting sucked in all the time with that little voice. Do this, you should go here, you should do here, you should go there. And it's driving you bloody insane all the time. Okay? So again, this is the rationalizer. But the good news to this, there's a simple answer to all of this. All right, then we have another one in favor of people in spirituality. Oh, sorry, the rationalizer, basically the answer to hit. So what's the answer to someone who doesn't rationalize? What would the world have called it? See, the persona will try to rationalize everything, i.e. give an excuse. But what happens when somebody does something really crazy and terrible and they show no remorse?
Reckless, maybe.
They're a lunatic. They're psycho. Yeah. So you put any symbol you want on it, like. They're not willing, they just have no remorse. People say they have no consciousness. No conscious, they're heartless, all of the rest of it. All it is the shadow. This is pure ego. And they have just basically been taken over by it. So you could call them lunatics, psychos, whatever, like, you know, so we just put in there lunatic. Okay? So then number 8.
What's that?
Lunatic.
Lunatic. Oh.
Number 8 then is basically another favorite of people in spirituality. The fixer. This is the person who goes around seeking out all those poor people who need help. These people really need the truth. These people need looking after. So a big part of this is while you're out trying to fix other people all of the time, then what are you not doing?
Fixing yourself.
Yeah. And this is where Ken Wapnick again used to talk about good intentions. I think Freud said it also, it's the royal road to hell. Because all you're doing here is you're giving energy to your own self, false image, ego image, and you're making yourself feel this kind of really good person for doing this. And there's not, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the act. It's your thoughts about the act that you're doing. Okay? The fixer, when you see people, we all do it ourselves. We want to fix this person, that person. The real reason is this, is to avoid looking at your own self-hate, your own problems. You're smiling a lot there.
I'm just thinking, we might as well just all go to bed and just close down.
No! You see, I wouldn't have picked this up, right, without having a good end to this.
Of course, yeah, but you know what I'm saying, that, you know, everything, you know, just whether
Yeah.
it's, no matter, and I understand that, no matter
Yeah.
what you do or what you're about to, you're immediately saying, you know, who's out today, who's this, you know, what hat have I got on, you know, basically just that.
Yeah. I mean, it is a big shock. I mean, you know, it is an eye-opener, and there'll be so much resistance from so many people with this. But ultimately in this, you know, you have to come to the realization of everything you think, you do, you plan, you see, and all of this, there's a big part of it's ego.
Which explains why we're going around in circles all the
Yes,
time.
exactly. Especially with people with the course. Okay, so the fixer, what's the opposite of the fixer? Someone who doesn't want to fix anybody. What do? They go around and they condemn.
Cynic.
Breaker.
Condemn. You know what I mean? They'll just basically condemn the person rather than, you know, trying to fix them. So you can see the both here. So every person that you're trying to fix, you're really secretly condemning them because you're condemning yourself. And then the last one.
So what is it then? Number 8. Shut up.
Condemn.
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 Run as base, you see. Number 9 then, the last one, right? And everybody does this, especially in my classes. Mary. Passive aggressive. Why does the persona use the passive aggressive?
It's very effective and efficient.
Yeah.
Clean.
Punish people.
It keeps this image that we have intact in the public view. So if anybody says something, if somebody says something not nice or whatever, you could be fuming inside. But because you want to protect your reputation, because you know you have a public image, you hold it inside. This is the root cause of all cancer. The passive-aggressive nature, right? Think about it. It's energy. That anger that's inside, that rage that you can feel inside, you're holding it here in your chest. People can feel it, you know, the tension building up. And what you're doing is you're holding it around all of the organs, most vital organs in your body. Okay? And that's negative energy, and it's creating a lot of sickness within inside you. So someone who basically, you know, would be sick a lot, there's a good chance that that person will be a quiet person, will be quiet demeanor, but will be using the passive-aggressive nature inside a lot. It's really destructive because you have the passive-aggressive here, and the opposite of that then is what the Course calls displacement and sublimation.
What? Displacement?
And sublimation. So what we do is we displace that. Some people now, when this build-up, this tension and anger comes in here and they can't keep it anymore, they'll displace it now onto a less threatening person. Or they'll sublimate it into their work. They'll go running, they'll go jogging, they'll go to the gym, they'll do all kinds of things, sublimation. Displacement is where you just displace it onto a less threatening object or person. All right, you could go and kick the door, you could shout at the moon,
So you
punch
project
it.
it.
Huh?
So it's like projection.
Yeah. Right. So you can see all of these here. This feeds this. All the special loves that's in the course, here. This is the special hits. Okay. Everything, there's 16 chapters in the course on this specific part of the ego. The special love, the special hit, the special relationships. It's all there. With the body's the special relationship also. So again, going back to Genesis, all right, you can see that each one of these is a mindset. So here's the key now. We're going to take a little break and we'll come back. We're going to cover the mindset here. Because this is the way it's going to work. Okay, think about this. This is a mindset. All right. This is a new mindset. It's new thinking. Einstein says as long you cannot correct the problem at the same level where the problem's been created. So at this level, the problem's been created in the persona. So as long as this world keeps trying to correct the problems in the world, they're doing it so here, the problem will never be solved. There's only one way you can correct the problem. And that's a new mindset. And that's what we're going to do after the break. Okay, so if you want to take 20 minutes, don't drop. What time is it?
I think,
Right. So